Hi, based on the module on persuasion, we will now work towards creating our next assignment, which is going to be an academic argument through textual analysis. This argument will be in the form of an essay. An analysis essay helps you to break down a text into its component parts so that you can understand the text as a whole. For example, you can analyze a poem by studying its images. A play can be understood better if you can make sense of the interrelationship of its plot and subplot. A short story, for example, will make much better sense if you can understand its setting, its characterization, symbolism, etc. You will be able to see through a speech if you can see how and why the speaker or the author uses ethos, pathos, and logos. To understand and to help the reader understand this analysis, you will write in the form of a focused genre, which is an organized essay. You will demonstrate through your essay your critical reading and your perception of the given text. Critical abilities and reading and writing, they go hand in hand. As you read more and more, your insight gets better. And as your insight gets deeper, your writing gets better. Coming to other non-fiction genres, they can also be analyzed through the use of literary devices and through the understanding of rhetorical appeals. For these, please consult the module on persuasion under course documents. Now, to show organization and control in your writing, you will follow certain conventions. For now, we will discuss a standard 5-paragraph essay. You can write 6 or 7 or 10 paragraphs if you wish, but usually a 700-word essay will take only 5 paragraphs. Each paragraph must directly relate to the central idea of showing your perception and insight, and it must contribute towards the reader's understanding of that central idea. But before that, just to remind you, 5-paragraph essay would mean the introduction and the conclusion and 3 body paragraphs. And of course, they will be followed by references. So we were saying that a good essay must contribute towards the reader's understanding of a central idea. Overall, your essay would cover the topic that you're writing about. It should have a central idea that is cruising through the whole essay, and that governs its development. And each part of your essay must help the reader understand your central idea, your understanding of the text. This is what is needed in a good essay. So we need an introduction, and that introduction cannot be generic. It has to be relevant to the work in hand. It would have a thesis statement. It would have at least 3 body paragraphs, and those 3 body paragraphs will perform this function, and a conclusion. We'll talk in detail about these. First comes the introduction to your essay, and it must begin with a good opening statement. Now, see which of these 3 opening statements appeal to you as the very first sentence of your analysis essay, assuming that this is your assignment. Sometimes people begin with an anecdote or a startling statement or a provocative question, dictionary meanings also, but they are not very effective unless you are tackling difficult jargon. In this case, the last one is the most appropriate, not because it's long, but because it takes into view the name of the title of the text, the name of the author, and also presents a preview of the student's understanding of the given text. Now, after the opening statement, the introduction will include background information related to the text, leading the reader to the elements that you will discuss ultimately in the thesis. And this background information will also be related to your stance about the given topic. This introduction paragraph will also include the title of the work we were talking about, and the name of the author as well, and the introductory paragraph. It builds itself in such a way that it goes towards a thesis statement. Usually the thesis statement is at the end of that introductory paragraph. So for the purpose of an example, let us assume that you are asked to analyze the setting of a short story by John Updike. It's a very famous short story. Now, if you were asked to analyze this short story, a good introduction paragraph would look something like this. Notice that in this paragraph, all the sentences, they flow towards the student's understanding that the setting of the short story is actually the real antagonist or the villain, and the setting plays a vital part or a parallel role as the protagonist, that is Sammy. So all of these sentences go towards the build-up of this thesis statement. Thesis statement is something that tells your reader what to expect. It's a very precisely worded, restricted statement showing what point you are trying to make. See why this third statement, in this case also, is the best thesis of an essay on Huckleberry Finn. Not because it's the longest, once again, but because it allows the reader to expect that you are going to demonstrate an insight into the two kinds of life correlated to American democratic ideals through taking into account the river and the shore scenes. All in all, it shows that the student is answering the so what question. The so what question, look at the very first statement. It's a grammatically correct sentence, but it's a very vague sentence. It is not giving anything away. The second sentence forces the reader to ask, it forces you as the reader to ask, okay, Twain presents a contrast, but then so what? Where is this contrast leading us? And that so what is answered in this third statement. We are looking for a thesis statement that does precisely this function. Now remember, a thesis statement is your opinion or thought on the given text, and it answers the topic question which has been asked. For example, the assignment on setting. And please do not use words like in my opinion, I think, or I believe. We know that it's your opinion. Next, so once you are done with the thesis statement, you will then build the body of an essay, of your essay. This will include at least 3 body paragraphs to support your thesis statement. Each paragraph will contain an explanation of your ideas and the evidence from the text. The textual evidence will be through summary or paraphrase or details or direct quotations. Each paragraph will begin with a topic sentence, usually the first sentence of the paragraph. The topic sentence draws from one part of the thesis statement along with its own assertion of how that topic will support the central idea in that particular paragraph. We use topic sentences to relate the details of the paragraph to thesis and also to tie the details of a paragraph together. Topic sentence will be followed by the development through explanation or the quotations and the specific details we were talking about. Take a look at this paragraph. The topic sentence in bold, it is preparing the reader for a detail of a setting that the student has understood to be ugly, monotonous, and regulated. If you were to recall the intro paragraph, the thesis statement at the end had decided that the setting is in itself an antagonist or a villain. So in keeping with that, this paragraph then develops on different characteristics of that setting as an antagonist. In this paragraph, the rest of the details, evidence, or explanations after the topic sentence justify the adjectives used in the topic sentence. Now, if you're writing 3 body paragraphs, they should have a logical progression from one to the next while maintaining connection with the thesis statement and leading towards a logical conclusion. A conclusion paragraph should not just be an afterthought. It should give your essay a sense of completion, a sense of importance. Your readers should understand that you have given a logical end to your writing while also taking into account that all that there is within the scope of the text. One important thing to remember is, do not repeat the thesis. This is not a reverse intro as a formula. At the post-secondary stage, we are looking for some deeper insight, some assertion as to how you analyzed the text from a different perspective. Another thing, do not introduce a new topic at this stage because you would not have room for another paragraph. Note this paragraph, I'll show you in a moment, and then see what the sentences in the paragraph are doing. We will have to come back to this slide. Take a look at this conclusion, and I would call this a conclusion with an insight. It's from a different essay. Now notice that this paragraph, each sentence in this paragraph is expressing the student's opinion that is drawn from the analysis that the student did in the earlier paragraphs. Note that the student brings in the name of the poet and analyzes the character of the Duke, but does not insert any personal pronouns. The student uses the third-person address. The reader, for the reader to maintain the objectivity of the work. So it's a very insightful conclusion. The conclusion does not necessarily have to be long. It can be it should be a summary of what you have already said. Coming back to this slide, do not generalize broadly. Not everybody probably would feel nostalgic. Instead, try to use objective tone and try to stick to what you have already said in your own essay. And last, once you are done, give your essay a title. In this case, if you were writing an analysis of Gabor Mate's article, Embraced by the Needle, your essay should not have the title Embraced by the Needle because it's his title. On the other hand, if you were to say, Embraced by the Needle, a study of empathy as a solution to drug problem, this could be one option, and it would tell me that you focused only on the way the author used empathy as a way out of drug addiction, which means you were not all over the place. You knew what you were talking about. A word about a suitable title. A suitable title helps your reader to understand your focus, and this is your first step to capture the reader's attention. It helps you to stay focused, especially if you have chosen before starting to write, if you have chosen your title beforehand, and helps you to kind of summarize. If you could not choose it beforehand, but you chose it after you finished writing, either way is good. It also helps you to focus on your audience and purpose of your own writing if you're writing a formal essay. It can be in the 2-section format as shown in the next slide. So you can choose either to first write the essay and then come back to the title. Ensure that you know your audience. If you're writing a formal essay, you may want to use a title like this. For example, this is comparing 2 speeches. Do not ask a question in the title. As a general rule, do not do that. You must mention the name of the text being interpreted or evaluated, and always reconsider and rework your title. It is mostly a work in progress. That is it for now. We have certain other concepts to discuss. More such screencast videos will follow. Thank you.